What is up, everybody? It is me, DevilNeverCry, and in today's video we're going to have a little discussion in regards to some news that's been floating about on the webs in regards to DMC5 and its DLC. As always, make sure to subscribe to stay up to date on anything and everything DMC. But getting back to the topic at hand. So for those of you who don't know, around the time of DMC5's release, it was data mined and people began posting a bunch of damning evidence, I guess you could say, in regards to potential DLC. In regards to the actual DLC that was data mined, people were finding hints of a co-op mode, Bloody Palace co-op mode to be specific. People also found potential evidence of a Ladies' Night DLC, which was said to have centered around Lucia, Lady, and Trish, but none of this was confirmed to be true whatsoever, especially considering how easy it is to falsify a data mine. Not only that, but Capcom went on record multiple times to make mention that the only DLC they had planned was the Bloody Palace. They didn't comment on anything else, they didn't say they had any other plans beyond the Bloody Palace, but still, people kept their hopes up. People believed that Capcom were simply downplaying the plans they had in an attempt to stifle the hype for a big blowout. Well, we're now sitting at over a month and a half since DMC5's release. It's been more than 3 weeks since the Bloody Palace DLC update dropped on April 1st, and we get further confirmation that there are no other DLCs in the works for DMC5, much to many people's dismay. It seems that people had built up an idea in their mind that Capcom had a whole year's worth of content planned. People thought that Capcom genuinely did have co-op or virtual playable planned, and it's interesting because Capcom went on record multiple times to sort of deny this. They've only ever confirmed that they had Bloody Palace. They've gone on record to say they have nothing else planned, but it seems that no matter how many times they reiterated this, people didn't really believe them, which is kind of shocking because people have built themselves up for disappointment, and I think that's quite sad because DMC5 in and of itself is a miracle, I guess you could say. DMC4 was over 10 years ago. We had the attempted reboot, which crashed and burned, and we're in an era where pure action games are a rarity. Yet Capcom and Itsuno had the balls to come out there and bring DMC back. And as large a following as DMC has, to put a action title out there, a pure action title, a sequel at that with characters and story that's already been established, a single complete package with no games as a service sort of system to it, that's a pretty big risk considering they pumped a lot of money into this game, and it definitely shows that there was a large budget. And a few weeks back, we get confirmation that DMC sold over 2 million copies in 2 weeks, which is fantastic. But it's not Resident Evil 2 numbers, the game wasn't a flop by any means, which, Capcom has gone on record to say multiple times as well, with, Matt Walker, one of the producers, actually going on record again very recently on Twitter to make a note of this. But at the end of the day, Capcom are a business. They're out there to make money, to make profit. That's not to say that they don't love their fans and, care about what their fans think about them, but they have bills to pay, they have wages to pay and whatnot, so money obviously always comes first, and that seems to be the case with this potential DMC5 DLC. Matt Walker and Itsuno-san have gone on record to make mention that they'd have to potentially convince the higher-ups at Capcom to potentially greenlight the DLC for them to even start work on it. We can sit here as fans and say almost 100% certainly that the DLC would be a success. DMC fans are a hardcore fan base. They love anything and everything DMC, so DLC like this would probably sell like hotcakes. but maybe the higher-ups, the people up top at Capcom, don't see it the same way. Matt Walker went on record to state that, unfortunately development on DMC5 is finished. He'd personally like to see a Ladies' Night DLC playable, that he can only hope that at some point they can convince the people up top that it is something that is worth pursuing, aka convincing them that it is a profitable venture. And us, of course, as players and as consumers, the best way that we can do that is through feedback. There was a DMC5 survey that was put out quite recently, a few weeks back, where you could give your thoughts in detail as to what you thought and what could possibly be changed, or if there's anything else you'd want. Heck, even before DMC5's release, when the topic of more playable characters came up, Itsuno-san himself made mention that if we wanted to see more playable characters, we'd have to make a lot of noise. We have to show them that there is demand. Which I guess is in a little bit of a contrast to what Matt Walker recently said up on Twitter, where he himself went on record to say that he personally feels that it would be wrong to try and put the onus on the fans. It would be wrong to put the possibility of DLC on the shoulders of the fan base, which is a very agreeable sentiment, I guess you could say, because for all the noise we could make, if Capcom have decided to move on and invest in other projects, we likely wouldn't be getting any DLC anytime soon, regardless of how much noise we made. But I digress. A little part of me still hopes that somewhere out there, some sort of DLC will be coming in the future, but I definitely won't be holding my breath. And in regards to what I think about a DLC versus special edition scenario, I'm hoping that it will be a DLC update. That would be fairly cool. It would save us from having to buy a whole new version of DMC5, which, if it means getting more content, I'll definitely buy the special edition. I mean, hands down, there's not a chance in the world I wouldn't, but it would be a lot easier. It might even be more profitable to go for the DLC versus the special edition, considering they wouldn't have to pay to print the discs or to get it through certification and whatnot. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see. At the end of the day, I don't think we're going to be waiting 4 or 5 years for a special edition. DMC5 has sold far too well to keep the fan base waiting that long, I think. There definitely is demand. In regards to official numbers, I believe there's some sort of Capcom financial report coming out next month, so we won't have to wait too long to get an official number that we can put on DMC5 in regards to its sales. But I'm going to leave this video off there. What do you guys think about the whole DLC scenario? Are you holding out for DLC? Or do you personally think that we're better off waiting for a special edition? Are you guys even still playing DMC5? Or have you moved on from the game entirely? Let me know down in the comments below. As always, if you liked today's video, be sure to like, share and subscribe, as it all helps the channel in the long run. With all that said and done, it has been me, DevilNeverCry. I would like to thank all of you for watching, and as always, I'll see you next video.